Hello and welcome to the Wolfchase Toyota Insider, the Memphis Tiger Network. I'm Jeff Brightwood alongside head coach Darren Schoenrock. And coach, about to embark on one of your longer road trips of the season. We'll get to that in a moment. First of all, I had to deal with the weather over the weekend against Little Rock, and unfortunately I had to deal with a pretty tough Trojan ball club.
Yeah, they were solid. Good. I was impressed with their arms. Good pitching. I think they're gonna make some noise in the Sun Belt. You know, with the teams that we're playing now, I think we're facing teams that are like American Athletic Conference teams, different leagues, different RPIs, but they've all had one or two starters that are very good, have very good numbers. 3 or 4 guys in a lineup that can hurt you. So we're playing good people and a little banged up, a little more banged up than I want to be on the injury side. That's some things are starting to kind of show their head a little bit that hopefully we can overcome down the stretch.
Jonathan Baldwin, outstanding in his start. Unfortunately, don't come away with the win of that game, but another career high day for Jonathan. Yeah,
he's rattled off 6 or 7 quality starts in a row, counting back to last year. Run support for him has been tough. We're scuffling at the bottom of the order to try to find pieces and ways to put good at bats together. But he's handling it great. He's handling all the draft attention phenomenal. There's 6 or 7 guys here every time he pitches, but putting together a very solid year on the mound, and we'll need to ride that down the stretch.
That's the first time, I believe, since '06 we had played Little Rock. Haven't played them in a weekend series in decades. They're in a new leadership since the time we had played them. Is that a series that you like and would like to continue? Because it's, number one, the proximity is close, and number two, you mentioned it earlier, you're always going to get those good RPI points when you play a team from the Sun Belt.
And Chris Curry's the head coach there now, who's an old Mississippi State player. So I know Chris from 20 years ago, from the old Mississippi State days. So that's why we kind of renewed the series, because familiarity with the personnel that's leading the program now, and we've talked about continuing some things in the future. They have an all-turf infield. Their ballpark it would present us a little opportunity to get on turf. We haven't been there since
06.
06, yeah. That was already on the schedule, I think, when I came. So. But there's been a lot of changes since then. So yeah, it's something that we've talked about in the future, and we enjoy playing them and good opponents. It's
funny you mentioned connections, because we start this road trip with a game at Auburn on Wednesday night, and you have a special connection with their head coach.
Yeah, I basically feel like I raised him in coaching, and watching a lot of these young guys now that I coached or coached against or recruited that are moving into big time SEC and big roles. It's kind of neat to see. Butch was a guy that I had the privilege of recruiting. I sat in his living room and convinced his mom and dad to let me have him at Birmingham Southern, and was his pitching coach for 2 years there, and then kind of mentored him into getting into coaching, and we kept him on board at Birmingham Southern as a GA, and then when I left and made a lot of moves, I always had Butch in mind to replace me when I left the place, and that happened at Birmingham Southern, and it happened at Georgia, and it happened at Mississippi State. So he's in his 3rd year now, doing a phenomenal job resurrecting that program. He's got a great plan, and there'll be a very, very big challenge. And Danny Dens will get that start.
Yeah.
Danny has been thrust into that role, and it's been okay. The original plan this year was that was going to be Chris Durham or that was going to be Drew Hall, and when the dust settled at the end of fall. So he's kind of the 3rd choice for the midweek starter, but he's been okay, and he's growing every start. And the injuries of those other 2 guys, and you could also throw James Muse in there, who's going to get some looks. It's forced Danny into a little bigger role earlier, but he'll handle it, and he'll attack the challenge.
From there, you go down to Jacksonville, a weekend series of North Florida, and I know you'll finally, and the guys will finally be glad to get in some warm weather.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Another dear friend, Timmy Parrington, the head coach there, I lived with one summer. Actually slept on his couch when we were GAs together. When I was a GA at Murray State, and he was at Mississippi State. He's an old Mississippi State connection. Just left pro ball to come back and take that job. And so Timmy and I go back 30 years to the old Starkville days. 1985 was that summer that we were roommates, and he's got a great plan. He grew up under Pat McMahon and Ron Polk and played at Mississippi State. He was a 2-sport athlete, football and baseball. They will play the game the right way. This is his first year, so he's inheriting some personnel things that he's got to change. But it will be a good series, and yeah, getting in some good weather. Hopefully, it'll loosen up some arms and hopefully get some bats going.
Always good trip in the aspect. Every year you have one of these long road trips, 6-7 days, multi-city. But for anyone, like you mentioned, Jonathan, that's got a potential to go pro, this is probably the life they're going to be living for a few years after they get done with college.
Yeah, we try to give our guys a taste of all that. And it's going to be a fun trip until that 14-hour bus ride Sunday coming home. And but that, unfortunately, that's what college baseball is and things like this can, you get 27 players on a bus and the staff and all the personnel, and they learn about each other, and it usually pays dividends before you start conference play, which is coming around the corner.
All right, well, Coach, we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, Jeff.
Head Coach Darren Schoenreich, I'm Jeff Brightwell for the Wolfchase Toyota Insider on the Memphis Tiger Network.